Hey guys, it's JT, Justin, and Tyler.
Yo, guys, just before we got into this episode, we just wanted to say we hope you all had a happy and safe new year. And we're just going to share a little bit of our plans for 2026.
So this episode, we're actually going to be talking about Stranger Things since JT and I both finished the series finale not too long ago, and then Justin was at SAC Anime, so it worked out.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wasn't available for this episode, but it's all right.
yeah, Justin wasn't a big fan of it anyway, so it totally worked out. Our plan, um, we have kind of future plans that we wanted to share with you guys. For this one specifically, we're going to be talking about Stranger Things, which in hindsight, we probably should have done on our upcoming movie and TV show podcast. It's going to be on this channel, so you don't have to go anywhere, and we're going to be kind of releasing them adjacently with no like specific time frame.
Yeah, and I
But
mean, Stranger Things is D&D adjacent, so I mean, it can kind of fill
yep,
the gaming niche. If Baldur's
yeah,
Gate can be a video game, Stranger Things can be a video game TV show.
yeah, no,
But yeah,
totally.
so we have a couple stuff running adjacent to custom lobby that we have planned. This is like nothing. So we don't have like solid dates on anything, but we want to have like separate stuff for different fandoms that we're into. And yeah,
Yeah, and we think Stranger Things is definitely popular enough and warranted enough that's its own episode. We just talking about it behind the scenes, we just had so much to say. We figured we might as well put an episode on it. So with that, please enjoy our discussion of the Stranger Things finale.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Custom Lobby. I'm your host, JT, and with me today, as per usual, is Tyler. Tyler, how are you doing today, good sir?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm excited. I just finished eating dinner, so I'm pumped. I got energy. I'm ready to get into it.
Yes, today we're going to be talking about the series finale of Stranger Things. It's been a long journey. The show came out over 10 years ago, if you can believe it. Justin is not here with us today. That's kind of a rarity, but he's enjoying a convention here in Sacramento, SAC Anime, and he told us to soldier on without him because he's not a Stranger Things viewer or fan for that matter. But no, I'm excited to talk about this one with you, Tyler, because we both have. We've been with the show for a long time. There's a lot to talk about. This
hmm
is a very popular show on Netflix, one of Netflix's most streamed shows or movies for that matter, because the final part was kind of like a movie, but for the platform.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I can't wait to talk to you about it. What are your thoughts overall about the show?
So for context for the audience, so I actually just rewatched the entire show again up until season five came out. So when the first part, season five dropped, I still had like an episode or two left of season four. So I went into the season like super fresh with everything. I wasn't like a lot of people who, hadn't seen anything in the last 3 years. Like I rewatched the entire show. And I think my rewatch really um, shined a light, I guess, on some of the better parts of the show and some of the not as good parts of the show. I think originally, season one, three were my favorite. I didn't like two. I thought four was great. And then rewatching it, I'm like one and two are like the best ones. Three is just as good. Four is kind of where it started to drop off for me. And then season five, I felt was the weakest season, which we'll definitely get into and I'll kind of explain a little bit. But overall, it's a great show. The aesthetic is the soundtrack. I love the whole D&D thing.
Mhm.
Um, there's so much that you could say about this show and its influence on pop culture and everything. So it's good. It's a good show.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I thought the first season was by far, I think, the best one. I really did enjoy season two, despite it's the one episode with introducing number eight, right? Or I should just say eight or Callie. Um,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
rewatched it, and we'll get into it, but I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was before.
Oh,
So,
okay, cool,
um,
cool. Yeah, you
yeah,
rewatched it, so you're it's more fresh in your mind, which is cool.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the whole show is pretty fresh, I'd say.
That's good. Unlike Tyler, I didn't rewatch it because I rewatched it for when season four came out. So when season four came out, I had rewatched it to kind of get a refresher. But then
hmm
by the time season five rolled around, I was like, I don't want to rewatch it again. So I ended up just doing recaps. And
hmm
but let's just jump right into it. For me, I thought season one was the strongest. Season two, I thought was pretty strong, all things considered. Three is when they started introducing the Russian subplot, which I thought was kind of interesting, but was very comedic. Season 3, I thought was the most funny of all of them, and I didn't find it.
Season 3,
Yeah,
it has some of the best like single episode. Like there's one episode where I was like, that was a great episode. Like it just had like everything. It made me laugh. It was serious.
Yeah.
I felt like they really captured like a dumb middle school drama thing. Like, it just, all of it was just great, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot to like. I liked the Russian subplot. I liked Elle being with the gang. I mean, it was really cool seeing her there without needing to worry about the Shadow organization or the Upside Down as much. I mean, yes, they were a threat, but she was actually able to hang out with them instead of being in hiding the whole time. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I also liked what they did with Billy and Max. I thought that was really strong. Some of the stuff that I didn't think was super strong was like the inclusion of Alexei. A lot of people seem to love the character, but I thought he was kind of like a nothing character, like a nobody. Didn't really do much for me. And I forgot the threat. The threat was the Mind Flayer.
Who's the Mind Flayer again?
In a physical
Mind Flayer
form,
Part
right?
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was physical Mind Flayer.
Yeah, see, I thought that was kind of lamer in comparison to the Smoke Mind Flayer. I thought that was the best kind of a version of the Mind Flayer that we've gotten. We've gotten the Mind Flayer.
Yeah, even after season 5, I'm like, no,
yeah. The smoke monster was menacing. It looked creepy. It was off.
It was
in the distance.
mysterious. You're sitting there like, how is this 13-year-old kid gonna stop this thing?
Correct. And the
like,
visuals.
He didn't really understand what it was doing. Like,
yeah, the visuals on that thing were insane, and the fact that there wasn't like a face, it was faceless. It was like a shadowy figure, but it still looked HP. It looked Lovecraftian. I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah,
and
you didn't really know. Like, is this a physical being? Like, what is this? And it was very mysterious. And even after season 2 and 3, you still feel like you don't know the monster very well, other than it just has evil intentions. And to me, that was what was so enticing, is I want to know like what this monster is going to do, and like what the goal is and why it's doing all this thing. And then season 4 went a totally different route, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I actually season 4, it definitely took a shift because obviously they concluded the Mind Flayer story temporarily. For some reason, it was temporarily, but I guess it kind of makes sense. But then they introduced a new big bad, Vecna, which has become a fan favorite character. One of the things that I liked about season 4 was how, I liked Vecna as an idea, but just the execution of Vecna, I wasn't the biggest fan of. And we're going to get to that as soon as we get to the finale. But season 4, I had, I liked it for the most part. But season 5, the big finale, they split it up into 3 parts, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And the third part being basically a movie. How did you feel about them releasing it in 3 parts after this long wait, Tyler?
I think it's funny because looking at it beforehand, I'm like, oh, they're probably doing this so people don't get spoiled things on the internet, because we know the internet's going to go crazy because it's the finale of Stranger Things. So they probably were thinking, oh, we don't want viewers who haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. So let's just do 4 episodes and then like 3 episodes and then we'll do the last one. Because imagine dropping all the episodes and then you haven't gone to watch anything yet, and you're scrolling and you see the last scene and you're like, oh my gosh, like I just got it all totally ruined.
Yeah.
And looking back, it's like, what were they going to spoil? what they could have just done it just fine and maybe done the last episode. Like there wasn't anything. I mean, other than like the wormhole thing, but that was cool, but that wasn't like a huge spoiler, I guess. Like there wasn't a lot that was like, oh no, this got ruined for me because I saw something ahead of time. Like,
yeah,
that's just the way the season went. Like it was just very, and this is something I kind of saw recently, was like they built up season 4 to have this like endgame apocalypse for the last season, and they built up all this tension.
Yeah.
And then by the time season 5 came around, like all that was gone, so they kind of like rebuilt it all back up. And so
it was downplayed.
It didn't even really feel like a finale. It just kind of felt like they were kind of starting over again and like building up the tension again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably should have started the podcast with this preface, but spoilers ahead obviously, because we're going to be talking about the end of Stranger Things, our thoughts overall, clearly. So, yes,
Yeah.
I agree with you, dude. Season 4 ended on such a crazy note. The world looked like it was ending. They didn't know how it happened, to my recollection. It's been a while since I watched this, so Tyler, feel free to correct me. But they were looking at Hawkins literally on fire. The Upside Down is coming to Earth. It looked like it was the apocalypse. And then, like you mentioned, yeah.
And it looked like it was going to be like a world-ending thing.
Yes,
Like it felt
like
huge.
a war was about to happen, right? I got
like
that.
yeah, like something crazy intense was going to go on. Like it wasn't going to be like
Small
just a
scale.
small town thing.
Yeah.
And then season 5 really kind of like did the opposite. It made all the problems feel really small. Like it just you just kind of zoomed out and you're like, oh, it's literally just Hawkins.
Yeah.
Which is like
so dumb.
Other than the fact that it mattered to the characters, like it's just this town, you know. Like
it's
the stakes and the weight of the world ending were not very big. I felt.
Yeah, let's get right into it because I think you had a more positive outlook on the finale and the final season. I know you said it was the worst season for you, but
weakest, it
was the weakest season for you. I thought it was bad. Like you can rate. I'm on Letterboxd for those of you that don't know, but I Letterboxd is like a social media account for movies. You can rate movies, you can review movies, you can see who's in the casts, what they've been in, the run times, and you can write reviews and whatnot. I gave it a 2 out of 5 star rating. I thought it was bad. It's like averaging 3.5 plus, maybe. It might be pushing 4 out of 5. So a lot of people really like it. But at least the last time I checked. But I rated it a 2 because there were a ton of issues when it comes to, I think, characterization. Also, there were a lot of problems when it comes to the writing, stuff we've been kind of hinting at, the villains, Vecna, Mind Flare, how things have not really connected really well to the previous seasons, I'd say. Like you said, the ending of season 4 to the start of season 5 felt like much of a downgrade or, a smaller, the scale became a lot smaller, which was disappointing to see. But specifically, one thing that I did want to kind of talk about was how there were quite a bit of pointless fluff. Like, this is the final season, and we're still discussing the love triangle between Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan, right?
Yeah, dude, it just felt so old. Like this was an issue like 10 years ago. Like, why are they not over this? Yeah, you know what I mean?
And I thought they cleared it up that Steve didn't like her already in like season 3.
The other thing, bro, like, so there was like an 18-month time skip between the end of season 4 and the start of season 5.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
And you're telling me in a year and a half they didn't wrap that all up? Of all the other things the writers could wrap up off screen, they couldn't wrap up this drama.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, they're doing this whole thing, and I'm like, why is this still a thing? Like, there was a lot of tension between, Steve and Nancy season 4, but then they kind of figured their stuff out, and, like, it just was, like, all the tension was gone, and they're, like, recreating it again, and I was just like, oh, this again? Like, I thought we were past this. Like,
I know, and
whole plot line,
what really bothered me about that was they talked about it in volume 1, and then they continued to talk about it in volume 2, and then in volume 3, when shit is hitting the fan, they're still somehow managing to bring it up in conversation when there's crazier things happening in the world. Like, I can't believe they're talking about, like, not necessarily that they're all in love with Nancy, but that, they love each other like friends, essentially. But we're dealing with relationship drama when the end of the world is at stake, when people's lives are at risk. Like, it doesn't fit. And kind of along the similar lines, another plot point that we've talked about was Will's inclusion in the show. So what do you think about Will having powers, or what do you think about just what he had to contribute in this season?
So one of my biggest predictions going into the show was that he was going to get powers.
Okay.
Like, they had kind of hinted at it a little bit. Like, in previous seasons, you're like, okay, Elle is special because she's like, the last child experiment and she's powerful or whatever. Will is special because he has this weird thing with the Upside Down and all the monsters and stuff like that. And so to me, it kind of felt inevitable that he he was going to have some kind of powers and be more than just this kid that everyone's kind of looking after.
Yeah.
Like the earlier seasons, you really see like just how much he just goes through so much stuff. Like he's just suffering all the time. Like,
Yeah.
that's all he does in like the first 2 seasons. Like
he's there to get kidnapped and become tortured.
and he's traumatized, and he's like 11 years old, and he's like trying to be normal, and then then this big bad monster is like spying on his friends through him. Like he is not having a good time.
He's going through it.
And so it was nice that like, oh yeah, like I can tap into the hive mind, and like I can do the same things that Vecna can do. And I was like, finally, because he really was just starting to feel like dead weight through all of it. Like you cared about him because of what he went through. Like contribution wise, there wasn't much for him.
Yeah.
And so I was glad that they were able to be like, no, let's give him powers and it actually do something a little bit.
But my question is like, yeah, in theory, it sounds good to give him something to do because, like you said, he's been a damsel in distress for all intents and purposes. But I still don't know how he really got his powers.
So okay, so that's probably one of my biggest gripes with the show is that they keep changing or retconning how you get powers.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can go into that now if you want to, but
yeah, I mean, while we're here, I mean, I'll bring it back to Will ultimately, but yeah,
sure,
go for it. Tell me, the power dynamic and how they retcon.
So I'm season 1, it's like, okay, they get these powers from these experiments is kind of what it seems like, and then she opens the door to the upside down, and then at the end of season 3 they're like, oh, the gate closed, so now you don't have powers. And then season 4 is like, well, actually your powers are within you all the time, you just have to train for it again. And then
that was just for 11, just to clarify, that was just for 11.
That was just for 11, but also because she's the only one around, they don't really talk about Callie anymore. And then you get into Henry Krill's background, and he literally is just a line of, he's like, I just knew I was different, and so I just learned to use these powers in my head. And I was like, so you were just born with them, okay? And so then they start saying, like, oh, you got the blood from him, so it's like, okay, so Henry was born with them, and all the other kids just get his blood and then train, so it's a mix of, like, biology and then training, and then season 5 rolls around, and it's like, in the finale, they're like, oh, he gets this rock. Which you find, the Broadway show tells you this.
Yeah.
That's how Henry Krill got his powers, was through this rock that he found from this guy in a cave. And then you kind of go back and forth, and like, then he captures these 12 kids because they have dormant powers apparently. And then I guess Will had dormant powers apparently. So it's confusing of like, okay, are you born with this or do you get it from something? Because why would these other 12 kids be important to Vecna if they weren't like his blood? Like it just goes back and forth, and it asks a lot of questions of like, okay, well, why doesn't everybody learn powers if they're dormant in everybody? It just that was one of my biggest issues is you're trying to keep track of it, and then every season it kind of changes it. Not like expands knowledge or makes you look at it a different way, like just changes it.
Yeah.
Because so that was just an issue that I had. Yeah.
Originally, I thought it was the shadow organization or the government that drugged up 11, right? And that's what
season 1 told us.
That's what season 1 told us, and then so that's how it was for like 3 seasons, and then like you said, they start changing things because season 4, that's when they introduced Vecna, and then that's when they started hinting that it might be related to him or it was dormant, and then
they tell you straight that they used his blood when their mothers were pregnant.
Correct. So
wait a second. No, it actually went back and forth. At one point, like they kidnapped Elle from her mom.
Season
and then
1.
It says another time that they used their blood. Like I don't know if it was like when they were in the womb or after. Like I don't remember.
It's really not very clear. It's pretty vague. But then they started connecting it to Vecna in 4, and then 5, the final season. That's when they said that all of it stems from Vecna, who got it from the Abyss, right? The Abyss or Dimension X. He got it from there when he visited as a kid, but the only way you would know that is if you saw the Broadway play, right? And then they teased that he had something to do with the Abyss or Dimension X by that stone that he found as a kid, right? So they show a flashback kind of teasing it in the show itself, but they don't explicitly tell you, hey, he actually has been here before, and there's a whole like lore and backstory to how he has the power, apparently, but we don't get to see
in
it.
the Broadway show. It's not even in the main
It's
show.
so upsetting, dude. Like, I don't know what. That's just bad writing, and that's one thing that I can't stand about Stranger Things is the lack of consistency between each of the seasons. I've talked to Tyler at great length, guys. I've talked to him in great length about how each season feels so disjointed, and it doesn't help that they take forever to release, right? So they have to come up with a story for each season, and then by the time it reaches the next season, it just tonally feels different, and then they either retcon or they just change the stories, like just
they do like a whole like, well, actually moment literally every season.
And it's hard to keep track when it takes so long, and then I can only really watch recaps. I don't want to sit through it every season, and I did that for a while because I liked the show, but there was just too much.
And I had a hard time rewatching season 4 because that was when it goes back to Elle before she escaped. And I'm sitting there like trying to put the timeline together.
Yeah.
Because when they're at Project Nina at that security place in Nevada.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Brenner's like replaying tapes from when she was training. And the time that she sent Henry through the portal was like in 1979. And Will didn't go missing until like 83. So you have like 4 years of her like pretty much just by herself. And I'm sitting here trying to put all the timeline together because they're like, oh yeah, the Upside Down is stuck at the day that Will went missing. And I'm like, well, didn't Henry get sent through the portal 4 years before Will went missing? When did the Upside Down open? Like, you know, was Dimension X always there? Like, was the Upside Down actually always there? Like, you start to kind of draw all these questions, and then season 5 is like, oh, and it's a wormhole, and it all exists simultaneously, and you're like, okay, well, when did that happen? Because apparently these dimensions started at different points in time.
Yeah, because
it just got confusing.
Yeah, because they're dating in the new season. They're dating things all the way back to like the 50s, right? And it doesn't help when you never really explore that until just now, right? So you have to piece it in your mind, or you're gonna have to like write it out because they don't show it to you in a linear fashion, and they don't really show you flashbacks until the final season when you already go through so much lore that you've over the course of a decade. It's really hard to kind of wrap your head around things. And even if you watch it straight, like if you binged it, things don't fully add up,
Which is literally why I had such a hard time, because I was like, wait, when did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, I thought the gate opened when Will went missing, but, Henry's been gone for 4 years, and then he planned to take Will. Like, what was he doing for 4 years?
Yeah.
Like,
he wasn't created yet. That's why
Henry's supposed to be the same age as Hopper and Joyce.
Yeah, but then but he looks young, so it's like, why?
Yeah, the show, like, I was sitting there watching this, and I was like, wait, so he was a kid in the 50s. Yeah. He's supposed to be like 40 years old, and he looked like he was 25.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was season 4. I was like, wait, this doesn't feel right. Like, why is a 30-year-old guy hanging out with her?
Yeah, maybe...
Like, it just... So much of it didn't make sense.
Yeah, I guess maybe because he got sent to the Abyss looking like that, so he always just stayed with that look. Like, I don't know, but...
Like, how'd you survive out there?
I don't know. I know.
What did you eat and drink? Like,
they're trying to...
So much of it doesn't make sense.
They're trying to say the Mind Flare, I guess, transformed him or whatever. Okay, here we go. So speaking of Vecna going to the Abyss and the Mind Flare kind of... they ended season 4 with him going to the Abyss, which a lot of people didn't know was the Abyss, or they might have thought maybe it's just the Upside Down somewhere else or something, But we see the Mind Flare interact with pre-Vecna, and then we see him kind of turn into Vecna at the end of season 4, correct?
Yeah.
I was always under the assumption, even after season 3, that the Mind Flayer was still kind of the big bad. Even though they introduced Vecna, I was like, even though he's been beaten a couple times and he's disappeared, he's such a big threat. Like, I didn't think he ever got killed. I forgot why I had always thought that, because it's been so long. I forgot how they really defeated him.
So there is a line in season 4 where Dustin is telling them, like, okay, if this is if the Mind Flayer is the boss, then like Vecna is his 5-star general, basically raise the stakes of like this is how big of a deal this Vecna guy is.
Yeah, and then
But then
yeah,
it got confusing of like, well, is the Mind Flayer still the big bad?
because
Because
they
if
never
they're
showed
telling
him
us
in 4.
verbally,
Yeah, and they never showed him.
and it just, and then at literally the very last episode, you're like, oh, we've actually been a team together, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know, it just,
Yeah, they acted like it was a
yeah,
surprise, but like we had already known that the Mind Flayer wasn't fully gone, and then we also saw the Mind Flayer at the end of 4. Granted, it was a flashback of how Vecna became Vecna, but like I never once thought that the Mind Flayer was like fully gone. So they acted like it was a reveal, when in reality, I wasn't surprised at all by that revelation that the Mind Flayer was still around. Could have been using him as a pawn, but then they were like combined, right? They had to be combined for some reason. Like it was so sloppy. Like going back to the writing being sloppy, man. There's no
dude,
cohesiveness. Things don't make sense. They're retconning things, and then just poor execution. Like going kind of wrapping this
yeah,
back to Will, like his powers, right? It was kind of cool to
mhm.
see him get powers. He's no longer a damsel, right? But it didn't make any sense. Like he was strong when he was connected to the hive mind and he's able to kill demogorgons, right? But then like he struggles with Vecna, even though I don't know, like the power scaling is all off, and then he somehow helps 11 beat Vecna in the end, but he didn't really contribute a whole lot. He just blocked an attack, and 11 basically did the rest. Like there's no consistency. Like I don't even, like I said,
Yeah,
we talked about how we don't even know
you,
how he got the powers to begin with. Like they're dormant for 11 and 8 and stuff. Like I get that, and they're tied to Vecna, but he was never an experiment, so he never went through that process. So I don't
yeah,
know.
like how do you, I don't know, because he was in the Upside Down, like he just had a weird sense to it, but like it just goes back to, more or less like the soft magic system that the show has, which is, how people get their powers, and it seems like depending on what the plot is doing, it goes
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what's so annoying is
Yeah, he only ever
okay,
had Spidey senses. He only ever
Will was in the
yeah.
Upside Down for, I don't know, a day or two in season 1, and now he like can feel all these things, but like everyone else goes in the Upside Down and they don't get that too. Like, why does
Yeah.
Will only get that? Like, why does Will have it
Correct.
just didn't make sense. Like, I don't really know what.
Yeah, because why doesn't
Yeah,
Holly
depending
have
on the season you're
powers?
watching,
Yeah, why doesn't
you
Holly
know.
have powers? She was fucking stolen by Vecna too, and she was plugged into the hive mind, right? All those kids, the 12
Yeah, like shouldn't
vessels.
she have powers too?
Hypothetically speaking, yeah.
And
Vec
like I guess
yeah.
you could argue like Will's resolve was different this season because like this season overall they were pretty much on the offensive. Like that was kind of the only thing I liked. Like season 1, I was like, okay, they got a plan. Like they're trying to do something. And like once Will had enough mental resolve, that's when he was like, okay, I'm gonna actually do something. Like that could have happened at any point in time in the rest of the show
Yeah.
when all his friends were about to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that could have happened season 3. That could have been somewhere in season 2. Like
And then
it.
they have his powers be revealed to save the crew, because a lot of them were about to die, and that's another issue I have that we'll get to in a bit. But he uses it, and then they're about to die, and he just so happens to save the day, right? It's just very convenient. There's a lot of conveniences in Stranger Things. But one thing that happened with Will was that throughout the series, they've been kind of teasing that Will is gay, right? And
Mhm.
they have this coming out of the closet moment where he kind of reveals to his friends that who he truly is, so Vecna can't use it against him. It's
Mm.
a tender scene, well acted scene, but for me, it just seemed very kind of late in the game. Like in the grand scheme of things, it's like the second to last episode, and a lot of people are screaming review bomb, right? But people are legitimately just not the biggest fan of the episode too. Like I'm sure there is hate bombing, there's hate reviews and stuff, but I think
Mhm.
just pacing wise, it just kind of felt off. How did you feel about that? Because I saw a post, and I think it's legitimate, that his scene of him like telling his friends who he is, right? Truly, that is longer than
Mhm.
the actual battle itself. Have you seen that?
I did see that, and I definitely have some opinions about the scene because rewatching it, like they've been teasing him that he, didn't like girls like since the first season. Like that was kind of this whole thing of like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a weird kid. Like he doesn't really like girls. Like that's kind of the first thing that you know about him. And
Yeah.
they were teasing it, and I was like, okay, it's the final season. Like we all know as an audience,
We
like,
all
it's,
know. Yeah.
it's about time that the writers like kind of reveal this, especially with, we find out that Robin is gay in season 3.
Yeah.
And like that's a whole thing, and I'm like, okay, well, so we have a gay character. Like, why don't we get to that plot point with Will? Like, why is it dragged out for so long?
Yeah.
And it made sense. Like, I kind of liked that Will was actually talking to Robin a little bit of like, okay, like you just have to be comfortable with yourself, and be who you are. And then, which was ironic because she hadn't even come out yet. Like.
Yeah.
The only people that knew that she was gay was her girlfriend and Steve, and she hadn't told anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in my eyes, I was like, I mean, she can mentor you, but she's not even really doing all the things that she wants. She's telling you to do, like she's still hiding in secret that whole part of her.
Yeah, and
I
he
get
was,
it. It's
he
like
was
the
looking at
realism
her.
is like it's the
Yeah.
80s,
Yeah.
and then they had the whole scene of like people that he didn't even know he's like telling this to, and like it would have been more realistic. And I think better if he was just talking to the people that he knew and actually cared about who he was.
Yeah.
Because there's just this random adults in the back of the room that he doesn't know.
Yeah, he's never met.
Um,
Yeah. Or
And
that,
it felt more like fan service than it did like what the character needed.
Yeah.
I thought so. Like it was good that he had that whole thing, but I think it would have made more sense if like Robin was actually out too. And it to me, like watching it, it made a lot of sense for him to in that season when he did. I think over as a show, it was dragged out kind of long, but his whole reason was like, okay, well, Vecna, like my greatest fear is no one loving me because of who I am and being alone. And so he was like, okay, well, I need to get this out in the open and be comfortable with it so that Vecna doesn't have anything to go against me with. And then they have that scene. And then it doesn't go anywhere else. Like him coming out didn't actually help him in his fight against Vecna. It didn't like serve anything further, which I was kind of disappointed because
I told you that was going to happen. I told you. You're like,
it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I
like,
told
what?
you because we were talking about it before the finale, and he was like saying, "Well, it makes sense because he doesn't want Vecna to use it." But the reason why I'm saying I told you was because when we were talking about it, I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, when has Vecna ever used people's fears or secrets against them? Vecna, ever since he's been around, has just been able to do whatever the hell he wants with no issues whatsoever. People will attack him, people will shoot him and do everything to try and stop him, but nobody can seem to stop him. And then I've never seen him.
I mean, he does like these whole mind game things, and that's it. Kind of goes back to the consistency thing. Like, is his mind game sharing your secrets? Is it your mind game like illusions? Like, it just kind of changes on whatever the plot is doing, which is like predictive. Like, okay, what is what is his main attack really? Like, it just kind of changes depending on what's happening.
Like him, he didn't need to know. Like Hopper's biggest fears and secrets or anything, it didn't affect him when he was not hypnotizing him, when he was giving him the illusion that he shot 11, right? Like Hopper didn't need to worry about any of that stuff. He just did it to Hopper. You know what I mean? Like he just straight up killed that cheerleader, right? I forgot how he was able to kill the cheerleader, but none of the fears or secrets or anything had anything to do with that. He just did it. So I couldn't imagine how that would come into play, considering it never came into play before.
Yeah, it's like this whole mind game thing, but like the mind game was different every season. It just
the mind game only applied to Will. Like I don't
guess
even know.
So. I think there was a scene where he showed Nancy like everyone dying, and she was like, "He showed me that whole thing," and but even then, I don't know. He could supposedly he could have done so much more, but like the power scaling was just like up and down depending on what was happening in the plot.
Yeah,
which was like frustrating to watch because you're like trying to figure out like, wait, I thought this person wasn't that powerful or whatever, So
yeah, the coming out scene was good, but like you said, it would have been more meaningful if he did it with just the people that he truly cared about, like his family friends, not strangers. Also, if maybe it was shorter or if it was placed, I think, in a different episode earlier on, not in the final season when the stakes are supposed to be at its highest. But as it stands right now, it lasted 6 minutes and 51 seconds, while the battle with the Mind Flayer and Vecna lasted 6 minutes and 34 seconds, which is kind of crazy.
Dude, that whole fight, dude, they killed the Mind Flayer like with the power of friendship. Like that's what happens. It's like they said. There's an interview. I started laughing when I saw this when the Duffer Brothers were like, "We wanted everyone to have a meaningful contribution," and then it shows a clip of Mike with the flare gun, like shooting it at the Mind Flayer. I was like, "What?
No."
That's a meaningful contribution to this giant ass monster,
dude. They were preparing
an atomic bomb to kill. Like it was,
dude. They were preparing for battle,
what?
and he didn't take a weapon with them. Like, what was he even thinking? He's like, "How come I don't have a weapon?" I was like,
I don't know what they thought they were doing. Like,
they were all
he's like,
preparing.
"Oh, Nancy, give me one of those guns." And
Yeah,
I'm like, bro,
what? You didn't.
that
bring
would have
anything?
helped you so many times.
Yeah, you didn't bring anything. Also, I'd like to point out that not only was the battle really short, right, but where are all the Demogorgons, the Demodogs, the bats, dude? They're nowhere to be seen. Everyone's making fun
Well,
of that.
according to the Duffer Brothers, he never anticipated a sneak attack, and it just
Oh my goodness!
I have so many questions. Like it was disappointing because, like, the one Demogorgon was the villain in season 1.
Yes.
Like when you
Oh
think of
my
Stranger
gosh.
Things, you think of the Demogorgon,
Yes.
and then it wasn't even there in the finale. It wasn't even there in the last fight. There
not
was
even
no
a hint, not even a suggestion, not even they might have mentioned it, but it okay.
And the whole
Yeah.
like enemy hive mind thing basically didn't exist this season. It's like season
No, it
4,
didn't. That when they were traveling the
they're supposed to
upside
sneak up on
down,
him
it was no threat.
and the vines. They're like, "Oh, step on the vine!" Like they'll know you're there. And then it's like they got into the abyss, and he didn't know that they were in the abyss, and there were no Demogorgons or Demodogs, and they're from the abyss. Like,
Yeah, that's
there's
their
really
planet.
no one else around.
Yeah, so the writing is bad when the creators have to come out and kind of just explain themselves and some of the quote unquote plot holes. But in this case, these are actual legitimate plot holes that they had to talk about. So in an interview with The Wrap, the Duffer Brothers explained why there are no Demogorgons. Quote, mainly it's just that Vecna was not expecting this sneak attack on his home turf. Never in a million years could he even imagine that. They're there somewhere. End quote. They're there somewhere. That's their response.
Okay, somewhere there. Yeah.
That's insane.
Not in the realm where they're from.
Like you said, they were the main threat of the first season. They are what you think of when you think of Stranger Things. You think of 11, you think of the 80s and the kids, and you think about the Demogorgon and the Upside Down. And the fact that they didn't show one is insane. Those things were powerful too. Like I thought.
Yeah, didn't kill him at all.
Talk about downgrading, right? Dude, they had armies fighting in the end of volume 1 just for it to be one small short battle with the Mind Flayer and Vecna. Like, I thought it was going to be a war, dude. I thought the military was going to get involved, but they were wasted too.
No, they had like rebuilt all these stakes, and then it was just you running around in a desert planet thing, which is funny because the Mind Flayer likes things cold, but he lived in a desert, I guess.
Yes.
Where they look pretty warm there.
And they said that in season 5 because when they were kind of testing on the stuff in the Upside Down, they were testing with the heating and the cooling when one was choking out Hopper and Sarah Connor was like, "Hey, they don't do well." They explained it in season 5. Yeah, they explained it in season 5, and then they just forgot about that plot point, I guess. But
another thing. I guess we're just going to go through our list here because that's kind of where I'm going to.
Yeah.
Season 4, Vecna's hideout is in his house in the Upside Down.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't he just go to the abyss?
I don't know.
In the first place. And my other thing is how did he get there? Can he fly? How does he get between the dimensions?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It doesn't show him going between them. He just is there. And he, when Holly is falling, and then he pulls her back up.
It's whatever the plot demands.
Yeah, exactly. How did he get there? And why didn't he go there in the first place? Because he knows they know how to get around the Upside Down.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, from a writer's perspective, they're like, okay, well, we want this to happen, but we can't reveal this too soon, so we're going to do this thing, and then afterwards you're like, well, why didn't you just do that in the first place?
Yeah, I don't understand
And then
also how he could think that there wouldn't be a sneak attack when he looked through the minds of Eleven, Will. He used Will as a spy for multiple seasons, right? And then he looked
yeah,
through the mind of Hopper when in that season, in those episodes, he looked through Hopper's mind to find out what was happening, and he still didn't bring out the Demodogs, the Demogorgons, and everything. That's
yeah,
cap.
it's like you paint this guy to be this really smart dude that's one step ahead of them, but for whatever reason had no idea that they would attack him first. I don't know.
He just thought they were
It,
gonna just roll over. They were just gonna let him take over. Like I guess. Like I don't know.
yeah. And another thing, so kind of going back to Will and his powers. So Will feels pain
Yeah.
when the Demogorgon gets attacked and burned, when Vecna gets hurt, when the Mind Flayer gets hurt.
Yep.
But when Vecna and Mind Flayer die, he doesn't feel anything?
Correct.
Nothing at all? Like, I was waiting for him to, like, oh no, like, I'm in, at least feel the pain of death. But he's like, good. He's chilling.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You
Yeah.
don't feel your arm breaking? You don't feel like this, this giant thing through your chest? Like, you don't feel anything? Like, I was really surprised about that.
Yeah, that was really, really just not well
Like,
thought out.
I thought it would have been like a really tragic way for his character to go out.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine like these characters being so invested in killing Vecna that they don't realize what it's doing to Will, which they have done several times in the show.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, we got to do it, and they're like, no, it's hurting Will. Like, stop. I'm like, no, we have to do it, and then like, what are they gonna? That would be such a trivial question for these characters. Like, okay, am I still gonna kill Vecna even if it means Will might die?
Yeah.
That would really raise the stakes of everything else.
It really
And-
would.
Or maybe, how tragic would it be if, Joyce beheads Vecna and turns around and like Will's dead and she didn't realize it? Like that would just create so much drama and tragedy, and like it would have a little bit more weight to Vecna dying, other than he's just not an inconvenience anymore. Like it would have. For me, it would have raised the stakes. It would have made things a lot more intense. But they wanted everyone to be fine, and if they got hurt, they were fine the next scene. And there's just no stakes overall. And
Yeah.
so I was. At least Will get injured, like when they cut his arm off, maybe his arm snaps or something. Like, but they didn't do any of that.
Yeah, man. Everyone was about to die before Will stepped in with his powers to save everybody. Like, I, I get that you don't want to have to kill everybody, right? Not all shows, want to Game of Thrones or Walking Dead things where they kill a lot of their main characters. Like, I understand that. However, it's really frustrating when characters are put in a position where they could very well get killed and then they just miraculously survive. They have done that since the beginning of Stranger Things, and it has bothered me to no end. With the first season, when they think 11 disappears, she's actually alive. And then season 3, they think Hopper gets killed by the Russian device or whatever to stop the Upside Down or whatnot. And then he survives. He just gets teleported. And they do this all the time. The only people they ever kill are the supporting characters. Otherwise, all the main characters are safe. And that is just not good TV. That's just not good writing.
And the issue that you have is if your characters can do whatever they want and have no consequences, like why are you watching the show?
Yes.
Like if they can do all this stuff, like and not get hurt, like they're not going through anything. They're just hanging out. It doesn't even matter what they do because they're going to get out alive. And so, like part of me watching a show is like, are they going to do it? How are they going to do it? Like, how's the world going to be different when they do it? Like,
I had no doubt.
They just don't have that.
Yeah, I had no doubt that the good guys were going to win this show. Right? There was no doubt. Like,
yeah. Like you don't even have to worry.
I wasn't even worried about any of their deaths, to be honest, because they had shown no reason for us to believe that they would kill any of the main characters. The most would be Will, like your prediction that Will could have gotten killed because he's tied to the hive mind, right? That was the most. And I didn't even think they were going to do that because they haven't, they're not half-assing, but they don't fully delve into all these things, right? So I had no fear.
And then the one death they have, which is, with Elle, is whether she did or didn't. And you decide that for yourself, apparently. Which I will say, I am a fan of ambiguous endings if it's
Me too.
done right.
Me too. If they're done
And
right.
when I first watched the finale, I was like, okay, that was clever. Like, I thought it was really interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, well, this isn't really a plot. This, there's kind of a lot of plot holes. Like, you can argue either way based on what you see on screen. But then
there are issues.
I liked the D&D scene with Mike when he was like, because he wasn't there. He didn't see Kali die. He didn't, he basically came up with a way to tell the story about how she could have gotten away in more of like a storyteller sense. Like, it's less important whether she's actually alive or not, and more that you got a conclusion to the story.
Yeah. So
And
do you buy that he could give a secondhand account, and do you buy that it could be a legitimate ending? Like, do you take anything that he said like as it could have happened, because he wasn't there, right? Like you said. So do you buy that it's a possibility?
Is like,
yeah,
he wasn't there, he didn't see it happen, but like, we the viewers saw the lab blow up before Elle died or whatever. So we the viewers know that Holly couldn't have used her powers. We the viewers know that there wasn't, that the static thing was on, so Elle couldn't have used her powers, or Holly couldn't have used her powers. But like, for the story, you can think about it a different way of like in season 1, she just kind of disappeared when stealing the gate.
Yeah.
And went somewhere else. So if you want to choose that ending instead, because that's more satisfactory to you as the viewer, like, you can do that, and you have enough evidence to suggest either ending. Which I think Elle was the only character they could have really done that with.
Yeah.
I don't really have any gripes with it. Maybe you could, there's some potholes or whatever, but I liked, really what made it work for me was Mike telling the story at the end.
So do you think,
to me, it was more.
do you think because he wasn't there, do you think it's a possibility that could have happened, or do you think like it's more reason to believe that she really didn't survive?
I think she actually died. Like, okay. I think realistically, like, that is what happened.
And that's just the story these characters want to believe, right? That's kind of...
Yeah, and like that, and for D&D, for for make-believe stuff, it's more satisfactory to know, like, okay, this character that I love so much, like, they didn't suffer, they just got away from everything. That feels better to them to believe, even though maybe that's not what actually happened.
Yeah, and
what actually happened isn't what's important, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of have similar feelings to you in that ending. An ambiguous ending is really good if done right. I thought it was done okay. I did love them playing a D&D game at the end, but the context in which that happened was kind of weird, right? They were offered to go to a party after graduation, and instead they have this D&D game because it's their last hurrah before basically adulthood, right? So that's kind of cool, but also it's like, dang, they're blowing off people when they could live a normal life. But that's the show, right? So that's the show. But that being said, like you said, we mentioned it's a secondhand account, so I'm in the belief that I don't think there's a way of that like being a legitimate ending. So I get it's meant for the audience to decide, and it's also meant as a way for the characters to kind of how they think everything went down, right? So as far as the characters believing that to be true, I find that a little hard because like we mentioned, he wasn't there. Also, if we look at it as an audience, there's a lot of issues with it because she probably would have bled out. It was pretty far away. How was she not spotted by any in the military? Also, one thing that some of my family members brought up was that she was in the building where the explosion happened, right? With the record Prince was playing, the Prince record.
Yeah, when Kali was in the lab when it blew up.
Exactly. So she survived the explosion, or she got out of there. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty with that ambiguous ending. So I was not the biggest fan, although I liked the idea of it. I just thought the execution, kind of like the rest of the season, wasn't the strongest, unfortunately.
Yeah, like there were holes in the ambiguous ending for arguing either way.
Correct. And this is what the Duffer Brothers had to say on Eleven's fate in that same interview. 11 represents in a lot of ways the magic of childhood, and we knew for our kids to be able to grow up, the magic had to leave Hawkins, but either way, it's a completely selfless act and heroic act on 11's part. And so I understand from that perspective that in order for the kids to like move on with their lives, 11 shouldn't be a part of the picture, right? But throughout the entire series, I felt like 11 really wasn't a part of the gang like that because she was always in some sort of trouble, or characters were always split up. So
she had her own arc going on separate from everyone else.
Yeah, a majority of the time. And it was only really season 3 where they were all together and kind of living a normal life before the season 3 madness happened, right? So I would have been kind of cool with them killing her off, quote unquote, or having her like leave the group had they been together a little bit longer in the show, personally.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like now that I think about it, like she was with them for season 1, kind of. Season 2, she was gone for like half the season. She was with them all season 3. Season 4, she was pretty much by herself the whole time.
Yeah, and season 5, they're still split up because she's in the Upside
They're
Down.
still split up. She's
Yeah.
with Hopper,
So-
they have scenes together.
So yes, I understand the group needing to move on. Okay, you got to get rid of 11 for that to happen. Okay, I understand that from a narrative perspective, but as far as these characters, I feel like they barely like were friends. Like they were friends, but they were always split up. She was always dealing with something because even in season 1, she was like an experiment that they were trying to kind of humanize and tell her that that not everyone's evil, right? They spent a lot of time on that. So there was barely any time where they actually got to be true friends or a true family. So I just thought it was unfortunate that she had to split up. It didn't feel like enough time was given to let their friendship kind of be developed like that. But personally,
Yeah, like I feel like you were like that was the thing is like season 5 doesn't have much on its own.
not
It's
at all.
banking on everything of the previous season. So you feel bad for them, breaking up because of previous seasons, not because of anything that happened to them in this season, And so it's a lot of like, let's pass the weight off to everything else beforehand, which, I mean, it makes sense in a TV show with several seasons. You're not going to redevelop everything, but like nothing really progressed with these characters a whole lot. Like they kind of just were, I will say the whole thing with Steve and Dustin, like that actually had some up and down and back and forth.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like with Elle and Mike, like they were pretty much the same person the whole season.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, and we even did the Dustin and Steve bit a little bit in season 3 and 4, right? So it's like these are all just continuations of stuff that happened. But I would say that Steve and Dustin friendship worked a little bit better because they were arguing over what happened in 4, right? So it's a little bit different. But
yeah, and even that had issues because, like, again, the 18-month time skip.
I know,
like,
and he's still mourning his friend Eddie. Like I don't.
I know, when your best friend dies, it's painful, but like
Eddie was just like a guy.
The signs of grief that he was showing were like signs of like it just happened.
Yes.
Not a year and a half ago.
Yes, and he wasn't
Like,
even his best friend. Like Steve is his best friend. Like he knew him since the beginning of this entire show, and then Eddie just met him 18 months ago.
Yeah, like they were friends for like a couple months, maybe. Like it was like the fall of the first year of high school. Like
he was acting like he was his
he
brother.
was a guy he looked up to, and it was really sad. But
yeah, exactly.
I'm like, wait a second, it's been 18 months, and he's still like
a jerk,
to
everyone else.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know it. Whatever the reasons were for the season coming out as late as it did, like just really didn't work. Like it just worked against them in every way, and the kids growing up, and they're like, okay, well, we have to do this time skip because they're supposed to be 13 and they look 21. Like, it just, I don't know a better way that they could have done it, but I know that that's what we got, and I was like, okay, this isn't realistic, but okay.
Yeah, there was there were a lot of scenes that they were still a lot of plot points that they were still talking about long after, and we listed a couple of them. But one new storyline that they did bring into the fold a little bit more was the military, the inclusion of the military. They built a military zone in a base around Hawkins, and they locked down Hawkins, and they built like some military fortress around a portal to the Upside Down. And that was a really cool concept. I was really interested. They casted Sarah Connor herself, Linda Hamilton in the role as like the main figurehead of this operation. But it didn't really go anywhere. The military, they kind of seemed clueless. The kids knew about everything. And I thought they were going to be used as like an army for the battle in the Abyss or for when they were going to attack Earth. And we only ever really get that skirmish on the base. And then they try to capture them after they had already beaten the Mind Flayer and Vecna, and they just seemed like an afterthought. But this is what the Duffer Brothers had to say about what happened to them afterwards, because they kind of just disappeared. So the Duffer Brothers said that my guess is they just sort of slowly dismantled operations and left town. My guess. I can't believe this. The creators who have the say in everything is my guess. I don't know, or surely, or anything to that effect. But what did you think of the military this season?
So I kind of have gripes with it also in season 4. Like their whole thing of going after L, it just felt so forced. Like I wasn't convinced that they realistically would care as much as they would, and like the guy in season 4, he's like, oh, she's a monster. She's the one doing all these killings, even though she's in California. Like that didn't make any sense. Like how the heck is she doing that?
Yeah.
And then they're like, we need to go find this girl, but we're gonna look for her in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
Like there are just so many things. Like, are they researching the Upside Down, and like why do they know all this stuff? And I mean, I liked the whole idea of like this kind of cycle of like power, like trying to control people, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna restart this program again. Like it's realistic that history would repeat itself, but like the military as a whole and that whole like the dude and like what are they doing? I'm like, why are you guys here? Like, what are you doing?
What are you
You're just kind of
contributing to this? Yeah.
you're just extra conflict fluff that doesn't really do anything else.
Yeah, and
And
I actually thought it was kind of cool in season 4 because I think a little bit more highly about season 4 than you do. I think because I liked some of the military aspects. Like I like how Brenner had his own team trying to do things with 11, and then the actual U.S. government were like, "Hey, we stopped you guys long ago. You guys got to quit it." And remember when they attacked their base? And then 11 brought down the helicopter. I thought that subplot was kind of interesting, right? And then in this new season, it's the military, but like we don't know. They were implying that she was like the next Brenner, right? But then it seems like this is the U.S. government, because how would this shadow organization, how would they just be able to lock down a town and no one knows about it? And they seem to be getting a ton of resources. So I'm under the assumption that it's just the regular American government. But they seemed so incompetent.
So I think every program it was like some kind of American government thing, because like Brenner doesn't just build that place in a day, like that he had in Nevada. Like
he didn't.
They had to have money. And
yeah, but
he
looked like it looked like a splinter operation. Like he broke away from them in the 4th season. Remember, because they got attacked by the U.S. You remember that, right?
Yeah, and it just was so weird. Of like, okay. Like the military is just kind of there, and it's like is it the National Guard? Like, is it the Army? Like,
yeah.
Why is the president not involved in this other world portal? Like, why is this a Hawkins only problem?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
that would be all over the news.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see the scale of this thing, because I'm guessing again, like it's the American government, right? But only the people of Hawkins, like they don't show the ramifications of anything. And like I said, the military, they were so like incompetent, dude. Like they didn't know anything that was happening. They were always behind. They had nothing to do with the final battle. They had one skirmish where they got their ass kicked.
Dude, they were just And the other thing that kind of bugged me is like, why are they not all working together? Like none of the characters had a thought of, hey, these kids are friends with her. Like, is she actually a good person? Or they're like, hey, the military is here. Like, that's a lot of firepower. Like, let's tell them about Vecna and what he's going to do. Like, why is no one working together through, like, it just, the plot just makes it so like, oh, there has to be this conflict with them. And it's like, I don't know. I just didn't buy it. I just wasn't, convinced that, people are that dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. And also they were implying that she was the next Brenner, right? And she kind of was the next Brenner in a way, because there was one throwaway line where they're like, hey, we need to get her so we can weaponize her and her abilities to go against Russia, right? They kind of just dropped that subplot except for that one throwaway line.
Dude.
Yeah.
There was no Russian subplot this season.
The Russians were like so involved in the last couple.
The whole show.
Yeah, the whole show. Like,
because it was a whole Cold War thing of like an arms race to this other portal and telekinetic powers. Like that was season 1.
They had to get Hopper away from Russia, like a Russian prison. They were heavily involved with the Upside Down. This is a global thing that they just forgot about in the final season. They just name dropped.
It's a big thing.
Yeah,
like you're like, oh yeah, where's the Russian subplot? They're just not there at all.
There were Russian spies in the U.S. in the other seasons, right? They were racing to beat them. Yeah.
Like in season 3, like when the Russians had a whole secret base
Yes.
underneath the mall,
Yeah.
like you're telling me that didn't start a world war after the U.S. found out?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
that's a crazy thing. They kidnapped kids,
They did.
and nothing happened?
Nothing really came of it. No. And
It-
we saw the Russian side too, because the Russian prison, Hopper being imprisoned, right? We saw how they were dealing with the Upside Down a little bit, but like after that, it was just like silence. Like I thought maybe, if you wanted to make it a grand finale, or if you wanted to make this such a huge scale, you could have US versus Russian soldiers. You could have US and Russian soldiers teaming up to help the kids fight the Mind Flayer and Vecna. Like if you really wanted this to be an epic finale, you could have done something like that, I feel like.
And like it would have been way more interesting if, like, instead of this whole American military plot villain lady, like it was like a Russian thing too. Like the Russians were also somehow in the Upside Down or something. Like that would have been
Yeah, it
like,
wouldn't be
so
out
much
of the
more
blue.
interesting.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been out of the blue because we already knew they know about it, right? Also,
They had Demogorgons in Russia.
yeah, exactly. So on top of the military just kind of being dumb, right, and not doing really anything, again, she was like the replacement Brenner, but the military and the government were trying to stop Brenner from continuing his experiments in season 4, right? Because they killed Brenner, they stopped it. That's when L11, when she took down the helicopter, that was the military trying to stop Brenner from doing his thing. And then they were saying she's kind of a replacement for him. So did they just forget that the military wanted to stop him in the last season? Because now they kind of want to continue those experiments? Like, I don't get it.
And like I don't get it either. And like the ethics of like trying to infuse this blood into like a bunch of pregnant women in the Upside Down,
Which
like,
they just left there when they destroyed the Upside Down. And the military,
bro,
they had a military / scientific base in the Upside Down, and no one seemed to care or remember that they were there when the Upside Down got destroyed.
which is funny looking back. It's like, why do they even have a base in the Upside Down
To study, but like you're gonna get attacked and killed.
But they weren't even studying the Upside Down.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know
the
what
whole
they were
season
doing.
didn't give us any indication that.
Yeah,
Like, looking back, you're like, okay, they could have done that not in the
Upside Down. Yeah, not where you could get attacked and mauled by Demogorgons and Demodogs, because that's what was happening when they were sending the military to go like do their like runs. They would get attacked, and you can't stop those things. Like gunfire has been proven to not really be that effective against these fools. So it's just the writing is just, I think, pretty bad, next level bad. I don't think it's Game of Thrones bad, but that's like awful writing.
No.
But this was not good. Like nothing was. I was worried that they weren't going to answer everything, and unfortunately, it seemed to have been true. I mean, there's so many plot holes, dude. Oh my goodness, we went through a lot of them.
Another thing I kind of want to also talk about is like, because we talked about how the danger scale kind of like went down.
Yep.
So I was literally thinking like, why doesn't everyone just leave Hawkins?
Because
like,
they're on lockdown. That's why.
But why? Like,
I don't know.
You look at season 4. Will and 11 go to California. They have no problems with the Upside Down there in California.
Yeah.
The worst thing about them living there was they had normal teenager lives with bullies in the 80s.
Yeah.
And they only got back there because the military is like, we need to find her because of things that are happening 2,000 miles away. And like Will had no issues with the Upside Down until he got back to Hawkins. And like,
yeah.
then season 5 rolls around and you're like, oh, there's a wormhole and it's literally just Hawkins is the Upside Down.
Oh.
And I'm like, and if Vecna just cares about Hawkins, like, why doesn't everyone just leave?
Yeah.
Like looking back, you're like, no one has to be here. And
No
the show doesn't give us
there.
any indication that this problem exists outside of Hawkins, and for whatever reason they're like, no, we have to be here because that's what the writers want them to do. And
Dude, you're so right, because every time they show the graphic of the Upside Down, it's literally the reverse of Hawkins. The wormhole is just straight up the abyss connected to Hawkins and the Upside Down, and then Hawkins itself, right? So
which that graphic wasn't given to us by the Duffer Brothers or Stranger Things. Someone else had to share that on the internet.
That is
for everyone
so
who
funny.
didn't understand what was happening. Like, they didn't give that to us.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're right. They could have just left. Like, what was to stop them from doing that?
And maybe because Vecna would have come back out to the rest of the world, but it's like it was just Hawkins.
Yeah.
And season 4, season 5 show us that literally the problems only exist in Hawkins.
I also,
It-
my buddy, I looked up, I was just on Instagram one day, and one of my friends was like, I wasn't the biggest fan of the final season of Stranger Things because basically everything, how it ended in season 1 was basically how it ended in season 5. And I thought about it, and I was like, that's kind of right, because at the end of season 1, they faked Eleven's death, and they thought she was gone, right? And then they were hinting that she was alive still, and which she was.
and they closed the gate.
Yeah, they closed the gate, right? They stopped the military threat, right? The military threat was pretty much donezo for whatever reason, and Hawkins was back to normal. And it's literally the same ending here, but then they wrapped everything, quote unquote, they wrap everything from the other seasons, but barely. Like, there wasn't really a whole lot because they're so disjointed, you know? It's like not much happened significantly from each of those seasons to the 5. Like, the ending was structurally was very much the same, I feel like, too.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that. It literally was the same thing. Like, she closes the gate and disappears. Which
Yeah.
So I have so many gripes with this, but so from what I understand about wormholes is they just keep sucking things out, right?
Yeah.
Why did the gate disappear when Elle, quote unquote, left, died, and whatever, when she was in the Upside Down? Like, I don't understand why the gate closed.
Okay.
'Cause she didn't
why
close it.
Yeah, why the gate? Yeah, no, they didn't explain that.
It just disappeared.
It just disappears
because
yeah, it shouldn't have.
If you destroyed because they destroyed the Upside Down by like exploding this bomb, and then there's a hole in the wall, so the wormhole just sucks everything through. You can get like wind, a scene of like wind from the thing, and then Elle goes away. But I don't remember any point in the show that the gates had anything to do with anyone's life source.
Yeah.
Like, why would them dying mean that the thing goes away? Because they had powers and were alive before the gate was open. You know, they closed the gate and Elle didn't have powers. Like, I don't understand why the gate closed. Why it disappeared.
Yeah, because they explained that if you destroy the generator thing, the Upside Down would get destroyed. But you're saying the air and everything would just get sucked through the gate, right? Because
it would just get sucked into space, and why wouldn't Hawkins get sucked through that gate that was there into the space that, you know, Hawkins is? Like, it.
Yeah.
You know, they want to do this like sci-fi magic thing, but like realistically, the rest of our world would have been gone too.
Yes, I actually.
And so
that's actually a pretty fair point, because they never explained, hey, once the once the Upside Down is destroyed, they never talked about what could potentially happen afterwards. They just said goodbye. Like, they just said that's the end. That's all.
They just said the gate would go away. And I was like, why would the gate go? Like,
yeah.
Also,
they didn't even say that it would. They just said, hey, we'll end this if we destroy the Upside Down. That's all they said. They didn't even clarify how that would.
And the other thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have so many things with this issue because.
Yeah.
Remember that big like X or that little plus thing in the middle of Hawkins with those gates that they put like metal plates over?
Yeah.
Like, that was to the Upside Down. Wouldn't that also open a wormhole?
Correct.
And like stuff the whole town through?
Yes, it would.
Like,
because those are other.
Only gate.
Yeah. No, that's.
This doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense, dude. It doesn't make any sense. Dude, it's so frustrating because they Stranger Things does a fantastic job of posing some really interesting characters, some really cool concepts like the Upside Down, how they incorporate D&D. Like, some of that stuff is cool, and some of the characters are really interesting. The chemistry is great.
The characters are great.
Yeah,
it's all the other things that they just like introduce and then don't wrap up that is where it gets lost for me.
Yeah,
because I love these characters, I really do, but then everything else, it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, but kind of switching off from some of the negatives, because we talked about some of the things that we really didn't like, but going a little bit more on the positive side.
Yeah, let's do that.
What did you think of? So you said that you liked how the kids ended, and I'm kind of in agreement with you about the D&D thing. The Next Generation, I thought moving on was pretty cool. So Mike seeing that, I thought that was cool. What's one positive that you might have on this?
I did like Justin and Steve's art.
Yes, that was good. That was good.
Like, I don't cry a lot when I watch stuff, but when Justin was like, please don't die too, like, it hit me pretty hard. I was like, dang, like,
yeah,
they bicker and they argue because that's how they are. They both have really big personalities, but then finally he's like, no, I can't let you do this because like I can't go through that again.
Yeah.
Like it was realistic because like when people are grieving, like you get angry, you feel a lot of different emotions. You don't know how to communicate them very well, especially at his age. Like he kind of went through a lot of stuff. Friend missing and all these other things, and his friend dying, and I liked that arc. I liked everything post Mind Flayer fight. I thought was just so like I just thought they wrapped the characters up really well. Like I was really happy to see Hopper and Joyce get engaged.
Dude, that was my favorite part. I was waiting for you to get to that. That was easily the best one, I thought.
And it felt like a lot of these characters like earned their happy ending. Like they worked really hard to do a lot of different things and to keep their friends around and to make sure everyone's okay. And like, I would say Hopper probably gave up the most.
Yeah.
So I was like, finally he can just be with Joyce because that's all he really wants. I mean, other than, Elle being alive, but
that was like,
like finally he could have something good happen to him.
Yeah, dude, that was like the final piece of the puzzle for me because it made the most sense how he could have his happy ending, right? All the kids graduate. Now he's just with Joyce. He doesn't have to deal with Russians. He doesn't have to deal with the Upside Down. He doesn't have to deal with Demogorgons and whatnot. He could just live a happy life. So how you conclude the show by him being with her, marrying Joyce, I thought that was a perfect ending for them. And it was just heartwarming to see them dance together. So I thought that was
my favorite for sure.
That was the best. The weakest one of the three endings, right? Because you have the kids, you have Joyce and Hopper, and then I think you have the older kids, right? We talked about this briefly before, but I thought that was kind of like the weakest arc of the three groups because I found them all to be kind of not as interesting when they're not having to deal with the Upside Down and the Dimension X. Like, I never really quite cared for Nancy before she became a badass, and even when she became the badass, she was kind of like a mega badass, or so I don't even know how you would describe it, but she was OP as heck. Like, nobody could stop her, seemingly, So
I didn't even complain, dude. I was like, nah, dude, I like it. It's cool. Like, she was so badass, and she was also. I really liked this character in the show, but when she, turned from the sweet journalist girl into like, all right, I got this shotgun, I'm about to blow this dude's head off. I was like, oh, hell yeah!
We never see her we never see her gradually become that though. She just kind of turned that way. Like I can't point to you how that came to be. Like, is there a way that like she just became really good with guns and she became a sharpshooter? And I don't know if you've seen the Rambo memes, but they compare her haircut and her clothes to Rambo.
Well, I think they did that on purpose. I think that was like a thing. Like they were trying to do her like that last thing where she was like the bait, where she somehow outran the Mind Flayer. They're trying to do it like what's the girl's name in Alien?
Ripley.
Yeah. I think they were trying to like mimic that a little bit.
But like, see, that would be awesome to me if she earned it. But to me, I never got to that point. I just saw her as like, I don't know. Like, she went from dancing with Dustin in season 2.
They lost.
Yeah.
For her character, they lost a whole lot of like why she does her thing. Like, she didn't really do any journalist stuff. There wasn't really like a big mystery investigation. She was just this plot point for these two dudes.
Yeah.
Bouncing around her again.
Did her a disservice, man, I think.
They did her a disservice. And I'm like, dude, she's so much more interesting than just, I can shoot guns and I have boys that like me. Like, there's so much more complexity to her character.
The first
and they
season,
did her so dirty.
Yeah, the first season where she was... Yeah. A lot more to do.
And then when they're on the rooftop, she's like, oh, I dropped out of school so I could just keep working at the small paper. I was like, what? Like, she's way too powerful as a person to be just settling for something like that.
Dude, all those guys could have done something... I don't know. Like, I was just like, about their...
It had way more potential.
Yeah, I did. I think Steve staying at Hawkins was kind of cool. Like, I can buy that. But everyone else, I was like, whatever. Like, I forgot what Maya Hawke did, right? What the girl... I forgot her character.
I don't remember what Robin was doing.
Robin,
it was
yeah.
Something about her weird uncle thing, and I was like, "What is this dialogue? What are they talking about?"
Yeah, I'm like, these jobs, these were some professions that they wanted to do. Like, I never got that impression throughout the series. Like, it was just their ending. Like, it just was there. Like, It was
Yeah,
smart.
and then they were like, Jonathan wanted to be a filmmaker, but he hasn't had his camera in like 4 seasons or
I
something.
forgot that was even a thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah,
Because
why
it all
does he want to
started.
be a filmmaker?
Yeah,
Like,
because
it just was.
it all started with him being a creep and taking photos of Nancy. See, that's when you kind of resolved the love triangle or the three arguments, right? Is when in the beginning of the show, not when the whole world is coming to an end. Like
Yeah,
dude, oh.
And so I do want to say in my rewatch. So the first time I watched the show, I was like, I don't like the Steve guy. Then season 2, season 3 came around. I was like, okay, he's
redemption.
grown.
That's good writing,
But
dude. That's good writing.
I rewatched it,
Yeah.
and dude, Steve was never a bad guy.
Oh, really?
Everything that he did was like, this dude is taking pictures of my girlfriend while she's changing clothes. Like,
yeah.
beating him up and breaking his camera is a valid response.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
You know what I mean?
It is.
Like, they were dating. Jonathan was being a creep. Like, and we totally just sideswipe that and like root for him. But like, and then eventually Steve is like, my friends kind of suck. Like, I think I want to go hang out with Like, he, we don't know anything about his parents. So he was a bully. So maybe maybe they could have done a little bit more on like,
that.
Like Billy was the bully because his dad abused him, and that whole arc made a lot of sense. And we don't really get that from Steve, but like from the get go, I never like rewatching it. He was not a bad guy. He didn't really do anything.
I thought he bullied the main kids though, didn't he?
Not really. I mean, he was like kind of mean, but as far as like what he did with the other characters.
Oh, like, interesting.
Him beating up Jonathan, like that was fine, bro. Like,
dude,
if someone started taking pictures of my wife, changing clothes, dude.
No,
that's
true.
Sorry, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, dude, it was 10 years ago, dude. So our memories on that, it's crazy, dude. Okay. Also, we're kind of going back to the negatives again, but it literally set a bad precedent for streaming shows, man. Allowing shows to take forever, dude. Oh my god. But I'll just keep it at that. But that's just so disappointing, dude. 10 years for 5 seasons, and they're only like 8 episodes apiece, almost. It's criminal. But the acting was okay. The visuals were great as per usual for the most part. We talked about a lot of our grievances, a lot of the story issues. I mean, is there anything else you wanted to add before we sign off on this one? I
have a couple. I kind of just want to list off a few questions. We don't have to go really into them.
Yeah.
But the Turnbow family, they're just drugged up and tied up in that barn still.
Yeah. Off screen.
There was also that white goo at the Hawkins lab.
What was that about?
The Upside Down.
Yeah. Okay, that was just gross.
Haven't the characters been to the Hawkins lab in the Upside Down before?
I think so.
I don't remember.
Maybe, but yeah. Okay, the goo was.
But like, what was that white goo?
I don't know.
Was it melting? Was it hot?
Yeah.
Why did no one else melt if they were melting matter? Like, why did it solidify? Like, what was that?
Yeah.
They didn't.
It didn't explain it. No.
Why did Hopper go into hiding at all when he got back from Martian? Like, why did he need to be in secret? He didn't need to. He could have been like, I'm an American and I rescued myself. No thanks to the American government,
Yeah.
Because they all thought he was dead. But, like, he could totally have come back.
Yeah.
And then they do the time skip and he's just magically the chief of police again. Like, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, and they just forgave them for killing all those soldiers and, it's like, what?
Yeah, they killed their own American soldiers and they're fine.
And they have no remorse and there's no repercussions to any of it. Like, what?
No, and all those pregnant women still in the Upside Down when they blew it up.
Everyone in the base, everyone in the base in the Upside Down. Okay, yeah, keep going.
Like, they just killed their own fellow Americans just because. Why? Like, why did they do that? How did they not find the wall at all in the Upside Down? Like, they had been around Hawkins a lot in the previous show.
Yeah.
I kind of talked on this earlier, but like, how does Vecna get to the abyss in between the Upside Down? Like, does he fly? Yeah, we don't ever see him fly. Go between them.
Yeah, we don't. I have a question to pose. I have a question to pose. What was the point of the 12 vessels, and why did we spend so much time in the memories when ultimately it didn't lead to anything?
Dude, it totally didn't even go anywhere.
They're like, hey, everyone, we have to escape this hole that Derek is probably not going to fit through, right? But we got to escape through this hole. And then we never saw the result of them going through the hole because by the time they were going through the hole, they killed Vecna and the Mind Flayer, and they just rescued them in the real world. So it's like, what was the whole point of that?
And then and I remember when Max was like, "We have to go through all these memories," and then they just skip all of them conveniently at the time that they need to do it really fast. Which I was like, why didn't they just? I don't know. It's just like, why didn't they do this before? And unfortunately, the answer is because the writers didn't want them to, and it like that. Like that's not how it should be. Like it should be an organic decision making based on what you've established about the characters and like
Yeah.
the magic system and the rules of the world. It shouldn't just bend at your will depending on what you want to have happen. And like that's just not good writing.
Yeah. Why did they cut to black when Steve fell off the cliff or fell off the tower when everyone knows damn well they weren't going to kill him because Stranger Things has no guts?
I thought maybe he was. I don't know. It got me for a second.
Dude,
I'll be
they
honest.
they
I was
cut
like,
to black
"Oh."
for a couple of seconds because they were gonna inexplicably save him. There was to me, I thought that was obvious because they cut to black. You're like, oh, okay. I mean, maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was a little bit nervous for a second, but then I remembered it was Stranger Things. You know what I mean? So it's just like they fake out every death, dude. They do fake outs all the time. It's like, come on, man.
And I get it. You don't want to kill your characters, but other than there not being any stakes, is you end up with this huge cast of characters that you just forget about
Yeah.
because they're still around. Like that's kind of a thing that's convenient when you kill off characters is you have less to pay attention to. Like
Yeah.
Dr. Owens, last time we saw him in season 4, he was handcuffed to like that pole. Did he
Yeah.
ever get out? Who knows?
Yeah.
Like he was there.
Yeah, and but speaking
Well,
of
the Turnbow family.
Turnbow family, Susie, right? Dustin's old girlfriend,
Susie,
Flame.
did they break up? Where was she? She came in clutch like last 2 seasons. And
Yeah.
she's nowhere around.
Apparently, off screen, they might have broken up, according to I think Gaten Mazzarato, and I think maybe the Duffer Brothers maybe talked about it. But so much
They
happens.
could have just had a line in there, like, "Oh, where's Susie?" Like, "Oh, things didn't work out." Like that's all we could have needed. Like,
Yeah.
but no, they couldn't do that.
Why
it had
even-
to be an post-interview off-screen thing.
Yeah, why even bother to include Argyle in the 3rd, 4th season, right? If you're just not going to ever talk about him again. It's like you're adding things that aren't impactful whatsoever. And whenever you do add something that's impactful, like in Eddie or Alexi, right, you kill them. So it's like, were they that impactful if you're just going to get rid of them and never talk about them again? Except for Eddie. They talked about Eddie. But,
Yeah.
like, it's like,
Yeah, I think the writers missed the point of why characters die.
yeah,
Like,
correct.
They die for stakes
Yeah.
because, like, season 4, when they're like, "Oh, is Vecna going to get Max?" Like, dude, it was intense.
Yes.
They were like, I was stressed out.
She
Like,
should have
dude,
died. I love Max. She's one of my favorite characters, dude. But they should have killed her. Instead, they left her in a coma, and she was sidelined all final season until the very end. And even at the very end, she wasn't
until
really.
the end of their like.
Yeah,
They could have like not even done any of that. I don't know.
they should have just killed her. Like she was already fucking crippled. How the hell is she able to stand up? Because didn't her legs and limbs get twisted? Like if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they broke.
Yeah, and she's just walking, and she
Yeah, the
graduates
first time
on
I watched
time.
Season 4, I was like, they should have just killed her because
Yeah,
like the fake out death. It's like you raise all these stakes and then all the stakes go away
yeah.
when you do a fake out, and it's like whatever.
It's insane. No PTSD for anybody. They're all happy go lucky.
They're fine. So I will say another thing I did like was the thing with Henry when they revealed that when Will was like, "Oh, you're a vessel for the Mind Flayer," he was like, "No, I'm evil and a dick, and I'm choosing to be evil and a dick." Like,
yeah.
I kind of like that he was just bad. Like you humanize him a little bit, you learn about why he's the way that he is, but he still made his own decision in the end to just be evil.
Yeah, that
And
revelation.
to me, that was a nice refresher.
Yeah, that revelation was just so weak because they were trying to kind of redeem him. It's like, why even try? He's just a bad dude. Like, you don't even have to go there. Like, the Duffer Brothers even went to talking about how they considered giving him a Darth Vader type redemption. But it's like, don't even tease that. Just show he's an evil dude. Like, just keep him evil. Like, there's no need to. I don't know. That's just my.
Because the mystery. Because the thing with bringing in Vecna in season 4 was you kind of eliminate the mystery of what this powerful force is.
Yeah.
Because now when you know, oh, he's a human being, like you can sympathize and humanize with that. But the Mind Flayer being as mysterious as it was, like in seasons 2 and 3, like that was just so much more interesting to me. Of like, this just bad. We don't know who they are or why they're bad, but that's scary because like the fear of the unknown is like what really drove that. And when you're like, oh, it's just a guy who, he had a fine childhood actually, but he's just weird. Like, you start to kind of like, oh, you learn it more about his trauma, and like, I just liked it. He was just bad.
Yeah.
And so when Joyce like chopped his head off, it was just really satisfying. Like,
That
he
was
had
that
no
was
ounce of
satisfying.
like, there was no like, but this bad thing happened to him. You're like, no, he deserves every little bit that he's getting, and it was just nice to have.
Yeah,
So-
that was a cool scene. The fight itself looked visually cool. It obviously should have went longer, and it did look like they beat him with the power of friendship, and like it didn't look like they were
Yeah.
a massive threat. They didn't even make it to Upside Down or Earth. They just stayed in their little like planet. It was just so. It could have been so much better, but it looked cool visually. But Vecna
I thought the Mind Flayer looked awesome. I was like it didn't look like the Mind Flayer, but it looked awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so cool looking.
Yeah, but
In a different setting, maybe it would have made more sense. But I liked looking at it. It was awesome.
they beat him so easily, and Vecna had been much more of a menace in Volume 1 and the last season, and then just for them to just throw each other around, and all Will did was stop him from hitting 11. That was his big contribution, was he stopped him from hitting her, and then she pushed him into a spike, like, and then
Yeah, I
don't
kind of liked that they kind of tag teamed that, because to me, like, thematically, it kind of made sense. Because, like,
it was barely a tag team though. He
I guess, like,
cut his
Vecna was the
hand off.
I mean,
Yeah,
depending on what season you watch, Vecna's the reason that Will had any problems at all,
yeah,
and Henry kind of started. I don't know. Henry probably helped 11 more than anything else, because if she wasn't as powerful as she was, then But anyways, I kind of liked that they were both using their powers to kind of get him like that. But yeah,
yeah. No, I mean it's a cool idea it's a cool idea on paper, but again, like he didn't do much. He just stopped him, and then he ripped his hand off, and then L11 just pushed him. Like, I thought they could have done more with the force powers. That's
it should have
just
been more of
but
a fight between all three of them, maybe, or something.
yeah, and like
But
yeah.
Will was just like outside.
And then Nancy was just shooting like a rifle at the thing, and like that was enough to like draw its attention away from everything. And then the fire,
Yeah, the super intelligent being is just gonna fall for that.
and then the fire is just enough, and like 6 kids with fire. Like, I don't know.
I still don't understand how capturing, like, what Vecna does for the Mind Flayer. Like, I don't understand how one of them dying meant both of them dying.
Because they were connected. I
Eh,
don't know.
But why were they connected? He didn't look dead when he met them. I don't know.
Yeah, that was the one throwaway line where he was like, no, I'm actually evil. I'm not being used as a pawn. We're actually connected. I'm not being used. We're using each other, right? Like but it's like,
And the Mind Flayer
why?
did a lot of stuff without Vecna. Did he really need him?
Yeah, I know. It didn't seem like it, but he needed him so season 4 could happen.
Yeah, they needed him so that the writers could have another villain.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyways, man, dude, we covered a lot of the big points, some of the stuff we liked, a lot of the stuff we had issues with, but it's finally over after 10 years. Safe to say, Stranger Things is a show. It's a show.
I still would say it's a great show. Just this last season was just the weakest. I would probably give this season probably like a 2.5, maybe a 3
out of 5.
Out of 5.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the out of 5.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 are like damn near perfect in my eyes. Season 4 is where it kind of started to dip. But
yeah.
Overall, I still think it was a great show. I
Yeah.
still think it's worth watching all of it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Overall, I'll probably
I think
give
the
it an
reason
okay.
why I'm still,
Yeah.
because I love this show so much. Like, that's why it's upsetting that they did that.
Yeah. No, that's very valid. Yeah, I thought the show was decent. But dude, the endings make or break it for me sometimes, man. Like, I don't know, man. That I don't know, but that's cool, man. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better watches on Netflix for sure. And Stranger Things is easily one of the most watched shows or pretty much anything really on the platform. So it's popular for a reason. People liked it more than us, of course, but there's also a lot of people pointing out some of the plot holes that we also mentioned. So let us know what you think in the comments, your thoughts on the Stranger Things season 5 or series finale, I should say. Let us know what you think. And thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll probably get Justin back on the next one. But hope you guys had a good start to the new year. And we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Later.